Hi Piccolos, this is a practice guide to the piccolo part from the flute to / piccolo part to Rodrigo's Concierto de Aranjuez, concerto for guitar and orchestra. This is a really great piccolo part. I love playing this. It requires the piccolo player to play very light and delicate. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, not much to say, but I'll just go through the different parts the piccolo comes in. I use quite a few of my alternate fingerings, standard alternate fingerings, so I'll just go over those. So right here after rehearsal 5, so these, a sharp fine, the G's. I try to make sure that the middle G, the first G, is not too sharp, but without rolling in or anything. Just sort of like making sure it's not too sharp, because the high G can be flat. I do usually the alternate fingering for the G just so it's more in proportion intonation-wise to the middle G, or that the interval is the correct distance, because oftentimes the middle G can be high and the high G can be low. But since it's just a little peck in the air, you could do regular G. The alternate fingering that I'm using for high G is no thumb in the left hand, first finger, ring finger, and then in the right hand, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. It doesn't have the greatest tone, but just for a little boop like that, it's a little bit higher in pitch. And then going on to the next one, C sharp, C sharp. I usually do the alternate for the C sharp, and that is no thumb, no first finger in the left hand, and middle finger, ring finger, and then in the right hand, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. So that raises it. More than that, for that particular note, it raises the pitch, of course, but it just has like a lighter texture. It's just nice. You're not fighting the pitch ever. You can just bump, bump, real comfortable. The higher B flat, middle register B flat, you could put down the right hand 1, 2, 3, no pinky, if you want it to raise a little bit. Is that right? Yeah, so that's an option, but I was just doing regular fingering. And then the second page here, the high G sharp, definitely the alternate for safety. It's a little, the pitch is a little lower, but it's going to come out, which is the absolute most important thing. And so I try to lip it up a little bit, but you don't want to be lipping up or lipping down stuff too much on the piccolo, because that can interfere because of the nature of the piccolo being so tiny. At the very bottom of this page, we have a little piccolo thing, nothing hard. I would just say I do, on the big rundown, use the middle F sharp. It's just a tiny bit cleaner going from, for me anyway, from the like high G F sharp to the E natural, but it's totally possible with the other F sharp, the regular F sharp fingering. Okay, and then on the third page, 417, bump, 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 bump. All these little bump, 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 bump that come in and out with the piccolo part. It just all needs to be very accurate, but not robotic sounding, just very light. And I wouldn't overthink things like these decrescendo at 17. You can get yourself overly concerned about every detail. You just need bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump. You don't need to overthink it. Sometimes those dynamic markings really are phrasing markings, and so I would think of it more that way. This is nice. The phrase continues. Kind of have that feeling of it floating away from you and continuing on with, I think it's the violins. I didn't just now when I played it, but you can do alternate C sharp on that last C sharp if needed, if your C sharp kind of sags a little bit or is not blending well with the violins that take over that line. At least I think it's the violins. Here, same thing. Such a nice, cool little phrase. That accent on the D here, you don't want bump, 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 like a stabbing type accent. It's more just like you're bringing out the rhythm. Bump, 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 bump. It's like a little shoulder thing. Going on the F sharps. Okay, so here, middle F sharp, whatever regular fingering. The high F sharp, I always do the alternate. It's just more likely to speak and it sounds nicer. All good things. So the alternate high F sharp is just like regular high F sharp, but no pinky, and you're gonna put down the middle finger here. And as far as the embouchure in the air and everything, with making sure those higher octaves come out okay without being, you know, it's a delicate balance. You want to make sure the note speaks, but you don't want it to like punctuate through the whole orchestra because it's supposed to be delicate. It's tricky on the piccolo. I would just say, in general, try not to move around your embouchure too much. Try to keep, or for myself, I make sure to try to keep the embouchure, the aperture small. Minimal movement in general. And when I go up to the higher octave, boom, boom, the bottom corners kind of come forward. And I'm not talking like a huge movement or even like a noticeable movement, but just a tiny bit, you know, piccolo proportions here. I also notice that when I go to the higher one, my top lip kind of angles the air more straight down. Again, just a little bit. You only need a minor movement on the piccolo to make a huge adjustment. So you can experiment with where, like any high G sharp, what was the other one? G natural, this F sharp here. You can just kind of peck out a few of them and see how fast your air needs to go fast, and the angle with the top lip kind of angling it down. Okay, so that's what I want. Now I have to just like get there out of nowhere. Well, from the bottom octave. Just takes a while to get used to going there. Okay, now the third movement. This is a good movement to practice with a recording because you have all the, it pretty much stays in time, or it stays in time all the way through, and you can practice the meter changes. So the first time we come in is after rehearsal 2 here. Sometimes it can catch you by surprise. So again, just practicing with the recording I think is very helpful. So anyway, I would do the alternate for the C sharp, C, B, A, G, and then the rest is fine. You want to ideally try to make the tone center for each one the same. So you don't want the C sharp to be wildly open, the C to sound kind, or the B sharp to sound kind of like dense, and then like that bottom C sharp to sound flat or whatever. You want them all to sound matching in texture. Then at 99, and it just very light and pecky, not like pecky, not being like not stabby. You want to have like a little lift feel. And then the next one, same thing. And you kind of bring out the E sharps, kind of interesting. Oh, and then this stuff at 175 or rehearsal 11. Just make sure you're on the beat. It's just basically a written out mordant that fits in perfectly with what the guitar is doing right here. I think it's good to do the middle F sharp. I just do it all the way throughout, so I'm not switching them around, regular F sharp, middle F sharp, because when we get to like over here where you have E, F sharp, E, this is much better. Then like that, although it's possible to do E to the real F sharp and back. But I think it's good to just always use middle finger here. It's just much cleaner. And it says pianissimo, and again, try not to be like all like, oh my God, I have to be soft. Just again, just keep it light, or at least have that in your mind that that's what you're trying to do. You'd be amazed how much just having the idea in your mind of what you're trying to do can be quite effective in the outcome of what comes out of your piccolo. Your little decoration, very dainty decoration. Rehearsal 13, it's same thing, although it's harder because, or it's not harder, but it's harder to make it sound blah, blah, because we have a few, why is that? I don't remember. So first trill key for C, D sharp, C. I guess just B, C sharp, you have to do real fingering. I mean, I have a C sharp trill, but so I could do the trill, but then I have to get back to the first trill key. I wouldn't recommend that. So real fingering, just a little awkward. I guess it's okay. I just remember this passage being more awkward than the first one, but basically the same idea. Oh, and then when we come out of that, I should have kept going maybe, but pickups to 14. I should have listened to the recording before I did this, but the first flute and the guitar have a lot of activity and everything stays very stable. I think the guitar, at least anyway, it's just like all the notes are filled in by the guitar and or the first flute. Anyway, the point that I want to make with the piccolo is you stay exactly very stable. And I find that, and again, it says pianissimo, try not to like hide, like, because you can kind of get a strangled note or strangled sound in your notes, or some of your notes may not come out when you try to hide. It's impossible to hide on the piccolo. Anyway, you're just trying to keep it light. And the other last thing I'll say before I play it is, like, you really don't need to breathe, like take a big breath or take a breath really all the way down. Once you do pick up to 14, all the way down into the page, you just kind of like, and keeping the embouchure more or less set. Cracked a note. And then guitar continues on. So cute little part right there for piccolo. It's just great orchestration. Okay, and then we're at the end. That's it. The rest is flute to the end. And please hit subscribe if you haven't already. This is, or I have an ongoing playlist of these types of practice guides for orchestral piccolo parts. Thanks for watching this video and happy practicing.